I can make titles now. Ah, welcome viewers to another episode of Let's Play Sacred for the PC. With me, Bezlonir. I'm just trying to decide and figure out what I want to accomplish in this video. Uh, as I suppose in general, with the game in general, we appear to be in the middle of, if I press tab, and I'll bring up the map and sort of zoom around here, this is a rather large city, and I must admit, it has me a bit taken aback. Not really a problem in general terms, but trying to explore this city in any thorough manner while staying focused on commentating and maintaining direction in terms of my gameplay so that it's not scattered and everything. It's a little difficult, mainly because at this juncture in the LP, it has become a blind LP. So this is the guy with the paintings. I think we kind of we had to fight some guys and get it back. I guess those fights were kind of interesting. So yeah, this has basically become a blind LP because I've now played further than I had played with my other character, which was a vampire. And I considered playing the vampire. I was going to try to play on my own time, as it were, in advance with the vampire, but I guess, like, my vampire's on silver, and so the gameplay was not going quite as smooth, and I don't think I spent her skills all that well, unfortunately. Now we're getting in this area we haven't explored. This, I think I kind of needed to go this direction. Where am I actually at? Yeah, okay, that's where I'm at. I could tell, jeez. I kind of want to... Okay, so I think I'm going to do this. By the end of this video, I'm going to try to get up to the area that our next main quest is taking us. And then in the next video, I'm going to do... what I'm going to do is just run around in a video that I'll speed up and do some post-commentary on. And I'll explore some of this area south of that quest hub between the desert and where that next main quest is taking us. And not doing live commentary will give me a chance to focus on trying to get together some better gear, because I feel like it's been quite a few levels since I got better gear. I don't think I pointed this out when I was playing. I just got this screaming bow of the haughty. I'm so haughty. Which, as you could probably see, doesn't have any gem slots, but it was better than what I was using before by a little bit. But considering I got that bow, the other bow, many levels ago, I feel that I should be able to find something that's significantly better. There appears to be a dungeon underneath this building. I don't think that this is where my thing was leading me, but I could explore this dungeon. I don't understand. I just noticed this. My unicorn will not follow me up the stairs, but he'll follow me down into dungeons. It sounds like there's some sort of undead in here. I hear some heavy breathing. Yeah. It was mildly frightening when I first heard the heavy breathing, but when I owned him with no trouble, that eased my fear significantly. I like how there's a little range top here, but it does, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of those 90s console RPGs where there was like a million things in the background and you couldn't search anything. You know? You ever play any of those? Where'd this guy come from? I couldn't get on there before.
Animalia. Sulawa.
I don't know what those guys are called. They have, the ones with the blue text. Like, in some games I know there's, like, champions and what have you. Where did he come from? Huh? Where did he go? Where did he go? Why is my guy running off? Well, he's not my guy, but he's the guy that I was stuck with for the quest. Let's go this way. They rolled out the blue carpet for us. This is another specter. The specter of defeat.
Yes?
If I had a train of thought, I lost it. I was talking about something, but I don't think it was important. Oh yeah, right, like champions versus whatever. That's sort of the rubric, the language of these games. This genre, if you could call it a genre. I think it really it really says something about Diablo and Diablo 2. I'm not super versed on my video game history, so I mean, I kind of vaguely aware. I'm moving around my headset, so there was probably some weird noise there. I had to pick my ear though. Hey, you know, I'm only human. So I'm vaguely aware that there was a game called Rogue, and that this was a... What? Okay, so that was part of a quest that we came over here for. I'm sorry I don't read quest text, I don't know what the heck I need to do, but you know what, most of these quests are just stupid simple, so there you go. All I gotta do is go to the blue thing on the map. Basically, yeah, like, it really says something about... I know there was a game called Rogue, and that's what created the genre, what the term that we call a roguelike game, and I think I talked about this when I played Azure Dreams a little bit, which is another one of my dead LPs. Nobody cares. I have like 5 people who actually watch my videos, I think. The rest is probably like spiders and stuff. But, so yeah, that created the genre where you kind of go into a dungeon and things are randomized, and I don't know my video game history well enough to tell you what sorts of things came in between that and Diablo, so I don't know if there's missing links that I'm unaware of, but I think it does say a lot for Diablo and Diablo 2 that they basically created a genre, and I have yet to see personally a game that really took it anywhere far enough to really distinguish it and take it away from the roots of Diablo and Diablo 2. I'm only lumping Diablo in there because of my somewhat uncertainty of exactly how much was originated in Diablo the original, and I played Diablo 2 like once through Act 5 or so, or 4. I did not play all the way through the expansion act, and I played partway through the game numerous times. Now, I barely played the original Diablo. I found it to be kind of slow and clunky by today's standards. That's just, you know, the way a game can get dated. But, I mean, it pretty much seems like they invented this whole moving around, clicking on things, and leveling up with skills, and I mean, you could say that, I mean, the most obvious thing that people could be screaming at their computer monitors right now. Sorry, I'm gonna go back to the map. I'm just trying to plan out, okay, what I'm gonna do. Would be like Gauntlet, right? And I'm pretty sure, I'm actually fairly sure that Gauntlet would come between those two. Almost certainly came after Rogue, because I'm pretty sure Rogue was early 80s at the latest. I mean, I could do actual research if I planned on the fact that I was going to talk about this stuff. I would research it. I wouldn't just talk about it, you know. And then Gauntlet, I think, was a mid-'80s arcade thing. But I really don't feel like Gauntlet is related that much to Rogue or Diablo. It's not really... I mean, there's not honestly much of an RPG element to Gauntlet. You don't have that persistent kind of character. You can't really make choices about how you develop anything. And even that, I mean, that's not even stating what's the most distinguishing characteristic of Diablo type games that make them successful. And you know, honestly, you would think that's basically a sophisticated statistics and skill system that interacts with a very diverse and compelling pool of loot that you can find, and that's combined with just the nature of enemy AI. That's not really making it all that precise, but I feel like that's kind of getting there. That's much more descriptive than...
And now I'm going to show you what happens when you hit a lady.
Than just noting that Diablo is an RPG, and that, I mean, that doesn't really speak to, and I'm going to zoom back out there, that doesn't really speak to what makes it unique or what makes it successful versus other games, but I would have to think about that more. I mean, I think that's, I'm sure many people have tried to, well, obviously, anybody who ever tried to make a Diablo clone, I'm sure they thought long and hard, as it were, about what made Diablo successful, and maybe they thought they knew, but there really hasn't been a Diablo clone that's been anywhere near as successful. I mean, both in terms of reception and just in terms of the actual game itself actually pulling anything off quite like Diablo. One thing about this game that I would say that it lacks in comparison to Diablo 2, as far as I've seen it, would be like, okay, so where would I theoretically have to take that back over there? Alright, let me see what time it is. Okay, I got the time to take that back. We'll just go back the way we came. One thing is, like, the skills don't really interact with each other as much as they do in Diablo 2, which, in this game, I mean, which makes having the skills interact that much, I think it makes it more compelling to build up your character, and it's more rewarding. There's also just more different ways to use your skills in combination with each other. In this game, there only feels like there's a handful of skills that are useful. They're a little bit restrictive, and it doesn't really feel like you can, like, putting points into one skill doesn't buff another skill like it does in Diablo 2. You know, which, if I was just comparing those two games to one another, if we were just, as I think many game developers who are trying to make a Diablo clone do, if we were just comparing the Diablo clone to Diablo 2, then I think you could take a step forward, which is one thing I can say about Blizzard. I feel like they're always moving forward. Generally speaking, I'm sure
Band of thieves.
I'm overgeneralizing and I'm ignoring some bad games that they make, because a lot of, like, their console games, I think, can sometimes be bad. Though I think a lot of those are developed by other studios and they just help publish it. But like, I think, because I spent a reasonable amount of time playing Diablo 3, like, I'm sure this is nothing compared to, like, real game guys, but I would say I think I spent around 100 hours playing Diablo 3. And by comparison, I think that Diablo 3 took the genre in a really good, positive direction, in that it really focused more on the skills.
And now I'm going to show you what happens when you hit a lady.
Really, I would say more on the execution of the skills, versus combining the skills per se. But the reason that I say that is because, like, in these games, and this is one that falls into that category, the way that you play, okay, you have a weapon slot that's down there, and then you have skill slots that are down here. And in order to use a skill, you right click, and the rest of the time, if your skill that you want to use is on cooldown, you left click to do your basic attack. But for most classes in Diablo 3, like, once you are 2 minutes into the game, you'll never use your basic attack again. What you do the entire time, which is pretty... Wow, I just tried to shoot that neutral or good NPC. I'm just gonna go fight some mobs while I talk, because I love to hear myself talk, and I just want to talk. So, most of the time, what you do is you use your skills. You don't do that basic attack, so it's all about the skills. Even though you don't really get to build up your skills, or and they don't, like, you don't get to put points in one skill and it, like, buffs another skill. So they don't have that, but it's about, like, how you use your skills, which makes it... And I know I acknowledge there's a lot of people who aren't gonna like this fact, but it makes it a little bit more arcade style. And that's gonna have its detractors, but I think that if the people who originally made Diablo were honest, and if anybody who ever played Diablo when Diablo was just Diablo and that was, you know, probably all there was, like, that was probably what they were going for, was a bit more of an arcade style. And you probably would have said, man, wouldn't it be awesome if you could play this game and it felt a little bit more like arcade style controls, but you had all those statistical parts. So maybe they'll get there, but I think they took it in a positive direction, because all you do is use those skills instead of just doing a basic attack, which makes it feel it does make it feel less rote to me, and it feels a little bit more like actual physics or something. I don't know if I'm explaining that right.
Come back!
But yeah, it is a bit like, it winds up being a little bit like World of Warcraft or something like that, where, I mean, you basically play the game by using your hotkeys. And yeah, you could wind up using the same skills over and over again, but you are doing the same thing in probably in the old Diablo games anyway, so at least it's a little more satisfying to see, you know, your poison cloud go out or whatever and kill everything, or you know, your locust swarm or whatever. I used to play Witch Doctor on Diablo 3. So this guy wants to give us a quest. Whatever, I'm not gonna read.
My bow is yours to command.
Yeah, well, you could say that, I guess. Okay, so we'll go up and get this main quest. I sort of wandered into a very contentious area without a very contentious area of thought and theory without any real exit strategy there, so I suppose I should just not, right? Wow, okay, so there's a guy to fight. Ah, nice, I even had my thing up. Wow, okay, so I got a new objective without having to talk to anybody, imagine that. I honestly could care less for the plot of this game. I feel and I suspect that it's not that amazing. So let's see here. God, this this game world is probably unnecessarily large. Okay, so now I see this road on here. It kind of shows me where I'm gonna go. So that explains why I couldn't go by like there before. That's like the path. I don't know if that's the whole of the main quest or not. And then, like, when do you ever wind up back down here? I'm not really sure. Oh, you know what? I do remember there was like a couple of things on the map that I didn't get to. Oh no, I went to the teleportation thing, and like the place that I was at was like the fifth thing down, and I only had the first two. So I was like, did I miss something, or this appears to be the end of a quest? Oh, okay, I just got a set item that is not for me. So yeah, now I've rambled on about claiming that as I take a drink of soda, and I might follow that up by giving you the privilege of listening to me burp into your ear. Can you imagine, like, it's bad enough doing that in this context, but if I just did that in real life, like, you hear a knock, you're like, oh, who's that? Oh, it's Bezlonir at my door, and I don't even say anything, I just walk in your house and, like, go right up to your ear like you used to do when you were a kid. You're like, you wanna hear a secret? And then, blah, just burp in your ear. Oh, really? That is clearly boobies right there. That is not real armor, as we all know. What? Oh my god. Okay. That tripped me out for a second. Like, I thought that was a ring, and it says damage 94 to 111, so compared to 15 to 26, that would be like a whole different, like, realm. I would pretty much shit my pants. Alright, I'm hoping to sometime find a bow here that's like nice, that's really nice, and has like 6. I think that's the one I took off. Maybe. But like a bow that's really nice and has no, I think those boots were actually an upgrade, but and has 3 gem slots, you know? I got around to it. I figured out what I was trying to say eventually. What am I... Oh, wow. It just points out to me how much better the armor that my vampire is wearing is. She's a little higher in level, though. How much does that cost? Okay, I'll buy that. What do I have? 176,000 gold? Huh. I thought I had more, but okay. So that should be a good upgrade when I eventually gem that out. Not much else here that would really be for me. Let's see, how many gem slots I have in that one? So good, that means I have a lifesteal rune down here that I might like to use. Yeah. I'll use a lifesteal rune there, so that'll be good. That might be about as much lifesteal as I feel like I need for the time being. Yeah, definitely enough lifesteal. Definitely. Jeez. I think I might have actually mentioned this before, but that's one of those weird things. I think probably a lot of people experience this, but I learned that like I was aware of that quote and that like thing. There's a word for that. It would be an audio version of a word that I can never fucking remember. But I learned that through Looney Tunes episodes where they're doing an impression of the guy from Rain Man before I ever actually saw Rain Man. You know what I'm talking about? So I think probably a lot of people experienced that. Like, Looney Tune, probably your first experience of some kind of thing was like through Rain Man. So I got a pretty decent skull here. I think I'm gonna put that in, raise my damage up a little bit because I'm not taking too much damage. I'd rather just put out more damage. Oh, she puts out. Pretty sure that's an attempt at a Dumb and Dumber reference. A bad attempt. All my attempts at references are bad, unless I just saw the movie yesterday. You know, different people have different talents, and remembering and making references is not one of my talents. And that's okay. I think the other thing about Diablo 2 that contributes to making it successful and is something that I suspect is lacking based on my lacking in Sacred 2 and possibly in this game as well, just based on my limited playing of it, and especially Sacred 2. I mean, I've played Sacred 2 a little bit and I've really enjoyed what I've played, but it's God, I am terrible about just saying so many words before I get even partially into the point of what I'm talking about. I'm a fucking bore, you know that? But yeah, Diablo 2 I thought had good enemy AI, and that created a certain kind of difficulty that was interesting. You know, not super great, but if you're gonna make an action RPG, it pretty much, possibly more than anything else, it's gonna live and die by the enemy AI, right? Because if I mean, who wants to sit there and plug away at enemies that can barely move, you know? That basically, for all intents and purposes, just stand still most of the time. And these guys, it's not, I don't know if I would say it's terrible. I've noticed with the goblins, they either move around all the time and some of them run away from you, or other ones just move towards you if they notice you, and sometimes they take way too long to notice you. I recognize that I'm pretty early on in this game. I haven't made a lot of progress, but it seems like I haven't really seen many enemies with interesting abilities. See, my problem here is I'm trying to talk about, I get fairly definite things, whilst also attempting to explore, and unfortunately I believe what I'm visually presenting to you is pretty awful, because I keep pressing the map key, which probably is really annoying. One thing that is unfortunate regarding the fact that I basically don't get... I never noticed evil magicians before. I basically don't get feedback. And that is somewhat unfortunate, because it would be useful to know if people liked or would prefer to see, say, my inventory screen more often, or if they prefer not to see the inventory screen, generally speaking. Without hearing that, I can only go based on my own experience. I find it annoying when people spend a lot of time on their inventory screens, but at the same time I get anxious when people do role-playing games and never bring up their inventory screen, because it sort of takes away that quality that I like about role-playing games, of just watching the stats go up, you know?
This region is at peace.
That's random. This region is at peace, apparently. Okay. What? is it? Alright, yeah, we're getting towards the end of what would be the end of this video. So I'm going to move towards this town up here. I'm not even sure what it is. It's on the map, so you may have noticed it. That being in a observer's position, you know, sort of like being in the passenger seat of the car. It's a little easier to take in the scenery. So you probably, I know myself when I watch these back, I am aware of all my aimless changes of train of thought and just, you know, the things that I'm talking about that just peter out. And I'm like, finish that thought, what were you saying? And I know what I was saying, because, like, I said it recently enough that I know what I was thinking, but I just didn't put it on there. And, like, theoretically, I could put, like, captions on the video or notes, like, over the thing, but that just, to me, I think that would just get, like, busy and just be kind of, like, too much crap going on. Like, nobody cares that much. I did notice, I think, that it probably would be better to do 15-minute videos, because it's just, again, that's another thing when I'm watching videos other people do. I rarely have the attention span for a 30-minute video. But 15 minutes feels pretty good. Kind of relates to watching TV too. Like, you know, you could sit down and watch something for 15 minutes. 30 minutes, you're probably depending on YouTube and your computer to remember your place in the video the next time you open it up or something. Like, what are the chances you get through the whole video in one sitting? I don't know. So what is the name of this place? Faeries Crossing. You know what? I remember seeing that, but it didn't register in my brain as being this place. But you know what? I don't even care. You know? I don't even care. Anyway, though, I do believe that at this point I will save the game, and I will conclude this episode of Let's Play Sacred. So, thanks for watching, and this is Bezlonir signing out. So, I'll see you next time.